You can keep your eggs Benedict. My first dreamy mouthful of these Turkish eggs, and I was utterly sold. The thing is, I think you have to taste it to understand it. That's to say, a poached egg on garlicky yoghurt with a chili butter sauce on top. But it is not only a revelation, but a complete sensation. That's Greek yoghurt there. I need a clove of garlic that's minced in. And sea salt flakes. I cannot eat eggs without a lot of salt. Although traditionally the yoghurt's cold, I like this to be just above room temperature. I suppose you could say Turkish room temperature. So I've got a pan here of water that's come to the boil and is now just hot. The gentle heat underneath the bowl makes the yoghurt less thick than when it's fridge cold, which is what I want. So that's the garlicky yoghurt, and it can just sit here. And now for the butter sauce. So I need butter. Don't be tempted to have the flame high. Just be patient, it'll happen. If it gets too hot, it'll just spit at you. And this is it, beautiful and hazelnutty. So to this, heat off, I add some extra virgin olive oil. And now my beautiful red pepper flakes, the Aleppo pepper. And as I stir, these foam up fierily. And this will stand very happily while I poach the egg. The water's almost come to the boil, so I'll get my eggs. I always keep eggs out, except when I'm poaching them. I've had a pathological fear of egg poaching for so long that I have devised certain steps that have made me now preternaturally calm when I poach an egg, eager to poach an egg. So, rule 1, fridge cold, it just keeps its shape better. Rule 2, crack the egg into a tea strainer and let the watery bit of white drip off underneath. It's this watery bit of white that, when you poach it, would turn into stringy fluff. I sometimes miss this stage out. I mean, if it's just a poached egg on toast for me in the morning, but Turkish eggs deserve the very best. And now, rule 3, gently transfer the egg to a cup or a ramekin. And instead of adding vinegar to the poaching water, I add, I suppose, about a teaspoon of lemon juice just directly onto the egg white. It makes the white sort of go and hold its shape better. And now, let's see. I'm going to slip the egg in very gently. Make sure your cup is as near to the surface of the water as possible, and then turn the heat down. I don't want to see any movement in the water. I cannot eat Turkish eggs without a hunk of toast to dip in, so toast on, and I want some dill sprinkled over. So peaceful when the water's that low. So while the egg's poaching, I'm going to add the yoghurt. Just a few splodges. Don't need too much. And now, gently lift the egg out, drip off a teeny bit of excess water, and there we are, on top of the yoghurt. Perfect. And the sauce, I'm going to pour that both over the egg, but some around the edges of the yoghurt, like a chili butter moat. Dill, my toast. Perfect timing. Oh, and this is just the best breakfast in the world. aware that avocado toast isn't a recipe, but it's part of the fabric of my life. I'm ready to eat it no matter what the time of day, but I have to say, it comes in particularly handy for breakfast on those days when you fear that lunch may be later than you'd like. I like Hass avocados, not least because it's easiest with these to tell whether they're ripe or not because the dark green skin, that sort of crocodile skin, goes a purpley black. This is one of my favourite bits, the sound I get when I scrape that last bit of avocado. I love that buttery green flesh in the inside and that slightly brighter green by the skin. If I'm eating this at supper, I like the heady aniseed flavour of coriander, but at other times of day, I like its more delicate cousin, dill. I think part of the point of avocado is that smoothie, rich blandness, but I need salt with that. Just as important for me, I always have to have a squeeze of lime. I know it's breakfast, but let's put a bit of fire in the engine. Some dried chili flakes. And my latest development in avocado toast experimentation, some ginger for extra pep. This is my favoured method, peeling ginger, just with the tip of a teaspoon. And a little sedentary grating. Don't mind me while I mash. My toast of choice is ready and waiting. I can pile this on. I'm all about the pink and green at the moment, and I have some breakfast radishes to crown my avocado toast with. It just is never a bad thing to start the day with something so beautiful. On mornings when I just need to grab and go, it's breakfast bars I want. I've made breakfast bars before, but these are breakfast bars 2.0. So full of seeds that you're going to start sprouting and packed with all manner of smug-inducing nutrients, which I won't go into. I need, for my breakfast bars, to consult my gum bagley section, as some friends of mine call it. And among other things, I will be requiring chia seeds, goji berries, and flax seeds. Bear with me on this. There's no sugar, flour or eggs in these breakfast bars, so you do need something to hold these wondrous ingredients together. And that something is the medjool date, the fruit of kings. Medjool dates have such a wonderful caramelly, treacly taste. The most divine edible glue I can think of. On top of that wonderful pile of torn dates, I need some cinnamon and a generous splosh of water. Might help this a bit. These need to bubble for a few moments, just until they're soft enough to be mashed to a rough puree with a fork. And now, everything else. Some oats. Some chia seeds. These help everything stick together. Plus, they're meant to be improbably good for you. And I'm using cocoa nibs, which give a rather tangy, sharp chocolate flavour and a lot of crunch. Cocoa nibs are really just cocoa beans fragmented. And now some flax seeds. I'm not just using masses of different seeds and other ingredients for the hell of it, but because I want the maximum contrast of chew and crunch in texture. I love the flax seeds. They give a rather gentle crunch. Now, a rather more boisterous crunch, my favourite seed of all, pumpkin seed. And now goji berries. I don't use them just because they're meant to be so fabulous for you, but because I find their colour immensely cheering. And some cornflakes. I'm using gluten-free cornflakes, not because I have anything against gluten personally, but because this makes quite a lot and I like to share them out. If it's gluten-free, it has universal appeal. Mix this together. I know it all sounds a bit Hessian weave, but if I didn't absolutely love the taste of these, I wouldn't be making them. And they are fabulous. Right, now tend to Mijuli. It is the most sensational, beautifully scented sludge. And in it goes. Gonna glove up. The dates are hot and they are very sticky. What I like to do is make a batch of these at the weekend, and then I have fuel for first thing in the morning throughout the week. Now a bit more squidging. "30 minutes in a moderate oven, and then I will be blessed with 16 born-again breakfast bars. Also very handy for a packed lunch, and for me, fantastic for that 4 p.m. slump. I wouldn't be able to count the number of pancakes I've made in over 2 decades as a parent, but these oat pancakes are the house speciality at the moment. Instead of flour, I'm using porridge oats, not instant, that I've blitzed up in a processor with about 2 pinches of salt. It's not a fine flour, it's a bit mealy, but it's a flour nonetheless. It's 100 grams there. And on top of these, a teaspoon of baking powder, and a teaspoon and a half of ground cinnamon. And the ground cinnamon really makes the oats taste so toasty and warm. A little stir. And then get on with the rest of the ingredients, which are pretty simple. This is 100 mils of milk. Now, actually, I'm using oat milk. It seems to enhance the oats themselves. Just 1 egg. And a teaspoon of vanilla paste or extract. But I rather like this dark, heavily scented gloop. A little whisking. Nothing too strenuous. With a bit of spilling. As with all pancakes, it's what you eat with them that really makes for the magic. And with these oat pancakes, I make a gloriously rubied honey and raspberry sauce. There's 150 grams of raspberries, and I want 150 grams of honey. Beautiful. That amber. ooze. Frankly, by the time the raspberries have thawed, the sauce is made. I have to say that what with the oats and the raspberries and the honey, these pancakes have a distinctly Scottish feel. And I can't help feeling that a wee nip of whiskey somewhere along in the mix would be a good thing. That makes me very happy. Now, a little oil on the griddle. And I know it looks like I'm just wiping it off, but I am actually leaving the faintest smear. I'm ready to roll. To dollop the batter on, and like a 1/4 cup measure, not filled to the brim. You can tell when it's time to flip pancakes over because little bubbles appear on the surface. So can you see there are little bubbles now, and the edges are a teeny bit darker. Lovely. I have to say, I couldn't have got away with these when my children were little, but these days I cater to a slightly more mature crowd. I've got enough mixture left for another batch, but for now, I'm pleasing myself. How could a day not be good that begins with this?